In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on November 17, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets, as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Charlotte Hornets versus Toronto Raptors. The Charlotte Hornets visit the Toronto Raptors on Monday at Scotiabank Arena. Charlotte faces another night with a thin rotation because Grant Williams, Brandon Miller, and Josh Green remain out. Toronto monitors Jamison Battle and Ochai Agbaji, both listed as questionable. Charlotte showed brief life in its loss to the Rising Thunder on Saturday, yet the group still struggles to form steady progress this season. Charlotte has made 16 and 17 threes in its last 2 games, but both contests ended in double-digit defeats against Milwaukee and Oklahoma City. That trend should trouble anyone who follows this roster, especially before a matchup with a Toronto group that scored 119, 126, and 129 points in its last 3 outings. One positive note for Charlotte is the return of LaMelo Ball to full availability. He and Miles Bridges were expected to guide a surge this season. Although that shift has not taken hold, Toronto returns home after a 5-game trip that included only 1 loss in Philadelphia. The team is 7-1 straight up in 8 games, and it looks like it can stay in the mix in the Eastern Conference. This roster wins without heavy reliance on the perimeter. In 2 of the last 3 games, Toronto made only 9 and 7 threes against Indiana and Brooklyn, yet both games ended in clear wins. The team also holds a 9-game win streak over Charlotte. A long trip can slow a team early in a home return, and that remains the only real concern here. Toronto is 7-1 against the spread and straight up in 8 recent games, and has covered 6 of 7 against Eastern Conference teams. Charlotte has dropped 8 of 10 and has covered only 3 of those games. Toronto sits at 7-3 straight up and against the spread in its last 10 and has covered 10 of its last 13 when favored. Toronto has taken 8 of the last 10 meetings with Charlotte and has covered 7 of those. Charlotte gained some help with Ball cleared to play, but the boost may not close the gap against a Toronto team playing at a higher level. The current line sits in a modest range for the matchup, and the overall form points toward one side. As our first pick for this matchup, the Toronto Raptors to win and cover the spread as favorites, is our full game side pick. The Hornets score 117.2 points per game on 46.3% shooting and give up 120.5 points on 49.8% shooting. They shoot 37.2% from deep and 82.1% from the line. They allow opponents to hit 41.2% from 3 and collect 45.7 rebounds per game. The Raptors score 120.6 points per game on 49.8% shooting and allow 115.7 points on 46.5% shooting. They shoot 36.9% from deep and 76.9% from the line. They allow opponents to make 32.4% from 3 and pull down 42.5 rebounds per game. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total, is our full game total pick. Dallas Mavericks versus Minnesota Timberwolves. The Dallas Mavericks and the Minnesota Timberwolves meet on Monday at the Target Center for a matchup shaped by injuries, pace, and recent form. The home team enters with more depth, while the visitors work through a thin rotation. The Mavericks miss Anthony Davis, Dante Exum, and Kyrie Irving. The absences strain their rotations and force their remaining starters into heavier minutes. Their win in overtime against the Trail Blazers came after a tough stretch, but the quick turnaround limits recovery. Their offense produces 111.4 points on 45.2% shooting. They find shots but struggle to score from deep at 31.1%. Their free throw rate sits at 74.3%. Their defense gives up 117 points on 45.6% shooting and allows opponents to hit 33.7% from 3. They rebound at a solid 45.2 per game, which helps them stay in games when their shooting cools. The Timberwolves rule out Terrence Shannon Jr. They were on a strong run before the Nuggets halted them. They show better balance on both ends. Their offense averages 120.7 points on 50% shooting. They hit threes at 39.1% and convert 78.3% at the line. Their defense gives up 115.9 points on 45.6% shooting. Opponents shoot 36.1% from beyond the arc. Their rebounding sits at 42.4 per game, which can create second-chance scoring. They show strength at home, yet they also drift at times and allow teams to hang around. The history between these teams shows tighter margins. The Mavericks have covered 7 of the past 10 meetings. The Timberwolves have struggled to cover in spots where they are heavy favorites, failing to do so in 17 of the past 29 games in that situation. The setting, injuries, travel load, and matchup trends create room for a competitive game before the final result takes shape. As our first pick for this matchup, the Dallas Mavericks to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The pace and offensive profiles shape the total. Dallas scores within a contained range due to limited depth and reduced spacing. Minnesota pushes the pace at times, but also settles into half-court sets. Both defenses allow modest shooting percentages. The mix of rebounding, shot selection, and inconsistent perimeter success from Dallas creates an environment where scoring can slow. Each team can create scoring runs, yet their tendencies also produce long stretches without movement on the scoreboard. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Oklahoma City Thunder versus New Orleans Pelicans. The Oklahoma City Thunder face the New Orleans Pelicans on Monday at the Smoothie King Center. The matchup takes place with both teams dealing with injuries, and the depth of each roster shapes much of the current outlook. The Thunder enter the night without Jalen Williams and Nikola Topic, and Alex Caruso sits in the questionable group after his recent setback. The Pelicans prepare for the game without Zion Williamson, Jordan Poole, and DeJounte Murray, which reduces their shot creation and spacing. Books list the Thunder as heavy road favorites, a position that reflects both their recent form and the strain on the Pelicans lineup. Oklahoma City did not cover in its win against Charlotte on Saturday, but the context changes here. New Orleans plays on the second night of a back-to-back, and the team has struggled on both ends of the floor. The Pelicans have dropped recent games, and their margin numbers have worked against them. New Orleans also enters with uncertain availability for key players. Oklahoma City has delivered strong performances in similar spots, and its rate of covering large numbers has held through much of the season. The Thunder won by 31 points in the last meeting earlier this month, and they have covered 9 of the past 10 matchups between these sides. They also hold a 16-6 record against the spread in their past 22 games as a double-digit favorite. The data surrounding recent meetings, roster health, and current form sets the stage for the final assessment as our first pick for this matchup. The Oklahoma City Thunder to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Oklahoma City scores 121.6 points per game on 47.8% shooting and gives up 106.2 points on 41.7% shooting. The team hits 34.4% from 3 and 86.1% from the line, while collecting 47.2 rebounds per contest. New Orleans averages 108.2 points on 43.8% shooting and allows 121.6 points on 50.3% shooting. The Pelicans shoot 34.7% from deep and 75.9% at the stripe while pulling down 41.6 rebounds per game. The contrast between offensive efficiency, defensive execution, and rebounding profiles shapes the total outlook and informs the closing call as our second pick for this matchup. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Chicago Bulls versus Denver Nuggets. The Chicago Bulls and the Denver Nuggets face off on Monday at Ball Arena. The Nuggets monitor Julian Strawther and Cameron Johnson before tip-off, while the Bulls continue without Trey Jones and Zach Collins. Chicago has begun to regain key pieces as players like Giddey and White return to action. A more complete roster gives them a chance to shift their trajectory, although the schedule offers little help. A second game in 2 nights creates real strain, and the trip to Denver adds more weight. The matchup comes against a group that plays clean, steady basketball built on sharp execution on both ends. Laying 2 touchdowns in an NBA game rarely feels right because the number looks heavy at first glance. Yet this figure reflects the current form of a team that applies pressure with physical play, simple reads, and steady tempo. Their pace and precision set them apart from most of the league. The number on the board may appear inflated, given that Chicago owns wins over Detroit, the current top group in the East, along with the Knicks, Hawks, and 76ers, all teams built for postseason contention. Results like those usually create a more modest spread. The line still sits high because it captures the imbalance in recent performance. Chicago enters with a 5-0 skid. The manner of those defeats reveals the deeper issue. The Bulls allowed 150 points to Utah. A showing like that raises concerns when facing a group that thrives on broken coverage and rebounds that turn into second shots. The figure is not a slight at Chicago. It reflects the risk within the matchup. When bookmakers set a number this large, they point toward structural problems rather than crowd influence. Chicago's recent defensive trouble now meets a team that attacks every mistake. The back-to-back adds fatigue, and altitude makes the task harder. Chicago has struggled when getting double digits, going 2-7 against the spread in its last 9 in that role. Denver has covered 8 of its last 10 and maintained strong form. The setup places Chicago in a difficult position to correct its slide. As our first pick for this matchup, the Denver Nuggets to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Chicago Bulls score 121 points on 48.1% shooting and give up 121.5 points on 47.3% shooting. The Chicago Bulls shoot 39.4% from deep and 81.1% from the line. They allow 35.8% from long range and collect 47.6 boards per game. The Denver Nuggets score 124.5 points on 50.6% shooting and allow 111.3 points on 44.8% shooting. The Denver Nuggets shoot 36.4% from deep and 84% from the line. They allow 31.5% from 3 and gather 47.3 rebounds per game. As our second pick for this matchup. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them. So leave a comment down below and do let us know.